made the difference in actually getting the offer. As I was going through the accounting course, there was never a point where I felt like I was sort of on an island, or when I see people, even in the Discord saying, well, this just isn't making sense to me, or I'm feeling kind of shaky about the course. For me, knowing that we had our coaches there that were there to, give us that assistance on anything that just isn't making sense.
If you want to work into accounting but don't have any experience, you're in the right place today. Accounting was named the #1 work from home job, and these are entry level positions. I'm talking bookkeepers, accounts payable, accounts receivable, tax preparers, and more. There are hundreds of thousands of positions available right now because every company needs accountants to keep things running. And the best part is that companies don't need you in the office, and that's why there's the most remote jobs in accounting than anything out there. Some are even hiring anywhere in the world, so you don't even need to be in the United States. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have a college degree. I don't have any previous experience. But because of this massive shortage, 1 in 3 employers are dropping these requirements. Companies literally cannot find people to fill these jobs. So in this video, I'm sharing a sit-down interview with Terrell, the CourseCareers accounting instructor. He's got 20 years of experience helping people land entry-level jobs in accounting even without a degree or any previous experience. He's going to walk you through everything you need to know and give you a step-by-step plan to follow. So stick around to the end. You're definitely not going to want to miss this.
Congratulations on, taking the course, and congratulations on starting a job. So I want to understand a little bit. So tell us a little bit about, your background and what were you doing before you took the CourseCareers?
Yeah, so I did have a background in finance. I had done some just general banking. That began when I was living in Texas in 2019. And really from then to now, there's been just very few gaps where I wasn't in some sort of a financial role. And so I began in just sort of a teller type aspect and moved on. My most recent position with the credit union that I was a part of was working in our loan operation, so servicing the loans that we have there. And so that is a big portion of my background, is having that background in finance.
Now, I guess with, working in the banks, what really interests you about looking at an accounting course?
Yeah, so in the same reason I got into finance in general with banking was I am a numbers driven person. All the way through school, I was always the person that, like, if I was succeeding in any class, I was succeeding in whatever math class I was taking at the time. And so numbers have just always made sense to me. And for that reason, I was like, well, accounting makes the most sense, because that is really just digging in whatever aspect of accounting you really go into. A lot of it is going to be looking at the numbers, looking at the data that you have, and then putting that into practice. And so for me, that was the smartest shift, to still stay in the finance world, but still make that shift to something that would be more a career versus a job that I had previously.
Nice. Now you mentioned about, going through school education. So what was your education background, or like any certificates, degrees, or what did that look like for you?
Yeah, and for me, I had tried a couple different colleges online, just because I'm a person, that was something that drew me to CourseCareers, was the fact that it was a go at your own, it was self-paced, and that is something that drew me to online college. But for me, for whatever reason, maybe it was just the curriculums that I was a part of there, it just wasn't for me personally. And so for me, I was somebody that I knew, hey, I've got my high school diploma and everything. I think that is probably going to be the farthest in professional schooling, unless I could ever find the time and the finances to be right to actually attend college in person. I think that if I were to make that change, it might be a little different, but maybe just the online college itself wasn't as interactive as I was hoping it would be.
Nice. So how did you even come across the accounting course on CourseCareers? Like, how did that pop up on your radar?
Yeah, so this may be a bit of a odd or kind of silly way that this could pop up. There is actually a finance YouTuber that my wife and I love to watch when we are like eating dinner or just kind of lounging around the house. And CourseCareers was something that he would always advise to people, because a lot of the people that he brings on his show are our age, where, they are, I've seen people as young as like 18, 19 on there, all the way up to like in their 50s. And so he just works with like a wide range of ages on there. And when he gets people who, they're based out of Texas and, specifically in Austin, Texas, and that's a little bit of a more well-off area. You've got to be able to be bringing in a significant paycheck to make that happen and to stay over there. And so when he would get people that would come on his show that were making, well below the median cost of living over there, he would advise them to go through CourseCareers and really look at being able to boost their resume, to have something that would, really make them stand out when they are applying to places and be able to get obviously more well-paying jobs.
Awesome. So now, what was it like once you actually started taking the accounting course and started going through some of the material? What was that experience like for you?
It was great. I mean, all the way from just going through even the free portion, I could just tell I was like, well, this is a no-brainer for me. I think that, I had really no hesitation in saying, I think this is going to be a great course. I don't know if it was necessarily just your personality that came through when we were going through just those three free videos there to kind of introduce you to everything. But I think ultimately the thing that really helped me make that decision was exactly what you said on the availability of those jobs and how open the market is today in the accounting world. And when you said that, it just made so much sense of, wow, now that I think about it, when I look at all these jobs and the people who I've seen personally in accounting roles, even with, my former company, they are in that age range where I was like, he's exactly right. They are at the point where in the next few years, they're going to be retiring and moving out of there. So I have no reason to doubt him that, yeah, this job market's going to stay open for a really long time. And it would be foolish of me to try and wait and say, maybe if the time is right.
That's an interesting thing about the industry and I think, as an accountant myself, I think that we haven't done a great job of really advertising it because I think we got so comfortable that we've had people who've been in the profession for 30, 40, 50 years
Yeah.
and we kind of didn't do the math on like, hey, what happens when all these people retire? And
Yeah.
now it's like we're gonna have this huge gap that shows up within, the profession to where it's like, oh my gosh, like now companies are starting to open their eyes and realize, like, hey, we need to find more people and we can't rely on the traditional way of doing it. So, hey, we need to find more, more people to fill these positions. And I've talked to many companies that have talked to me about like, hey, we're looking at, as far as, East Asia to find talent to fill these positions because we just didn't properly plan and market the profession to, the younger generation to backfill when all the retirements kick in.
Yep.
So I'm curious for you, like, as you went through the course, what was it like when it came down to going through that process to land a job? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I think it was very, I don't think there was ever a portion where I was like, well, this was a waste of time. This was a waste of money. Like clearly, the course was good. I went through, I passed everything, but now I'm not going to land this job. I had probably been applying for maybe a month. And I mean, so it was not long at all, just following the steps that they had gone through the graduate course. I was just trying to stick as much to those steps and that guidance and advice that we were given there. And sure enough, and I even told my wife, I said, hey, if it takes till 2025, it just takes some time. I was like, I'd rather get into a good company and wait, to get accepted by somebody like that than to settle for, a company that may be lesser in pay or, seasonal work or even contract work where I'm just trying to sort of get my foot in the door and sort of just take the first thing that comes. And so I was like, I want to be a little picky with this. I've kind of put in the work. I do think that I could very easily get a good entry level position. I think that at the very least, I've learned enough to land that confidently. And so it was astonishing that, with that mindset of I'm okay to wait till 2025, that within the first month of applying, it was like, hey, we would love if you would come and work for us, actually.
Nice. So I guess by that point, like, an estimate of like about how many applications or jobs that you applied to by then.
I think between going the route of having your 10 to 20 set companies and then doing just sort of like the um not just sort of like barrage in applying for those other jobs that don't meet those qualifications of those, 10 to 20. I had maybe only applied to, I think, 12 to 15 companies before I had done that. And some of those were just doing the barrages. I mean, I was really like, I'm going to focus at this point on, this first few of that list, and then I'll kind of do my little bit of barrage. And then, so really, it was just from those, first five, and then doing that little bit of barrage where it was like, wow, I've already got not only an interview, but I've got an actual offer. And so, I mean, it was just mind blowing to see in that quick of an amount of time to get, to land something because before I was doing the just mass applying and, let's just throw let's throw the hat into anywhere and, I'll throw it all against the wall, whatever sticks, sticks. And what they went through in the process of applying for those jobs and what to do when you're actually in the interviews as well I truly believe it made the difference in actually getting the offer. And I mean, just like they said, you are selling yourself when you're going into those interviews. And I think having that confidence and having that mindset made the difference from where before I would just apply and apply and apply and apply and never hear back. Or if I did get an interview, it was thank you for coming out, but we're going to go this different direction.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I'm curious, when you start to talk about, the position that you landed, tell me a little bit more about that position and what the job looks like.
Yeah, so I had actually, when I interviewed with a company, I had interviewed for just their AR specialist one role, and that would have seen me really having a set list of clientele with the company. It is a pharmaceutical company, and so it would be contacting our different vendors and looking to obviously collect those funds. But after my interview, they had actually called me back and said, "Hey, we actually have had some things shift and we don't want to offer you this position. The position that they ended up offering me and I accepted was actually an APAR specialist position. And so I'm actually learning both their AR side and their accounts payable side to be able to navigate both of those. And they had basically made clear to me that our CFO and our accounting manager right now are both getting towards that age where they're going to be looking to retire in the next 5 to 10 years, most likely. And so they basically let me know that, hey, this is a great role that if you're wanting to advance, this will allow you to know both of those sides. So you would obviously have a leg up on anybody who could possibly apply because you'll already know how both of those systems really are working, both on our accounts payable and accounts receivable side.
Awesome. Now, I guess for you now, hearing that kind of laid out and just seeing that path, like, how did that make you feel, hearing that be shared with you?
Man, I was on cloud nine because again, I was like, I was totally fine with the just accounts receivables role and saying, hey, that is a great place to start. I mean, just following our flow chart that we have, there on Course Careers, I was like, hey, that's still one of the roles that I knew would be a great possibility to sort of move up as time goes on. But to then hear that, I was like, wow. Again, I was like, I must have just really sold myself very well to the fact that they would say, we're still putting somebody in that role, but we want you to be in this role specifically. I mean, it was just a great boost of confidence, I guess you could say, to hear that they had somebody else that was great. But in essence, they were saying, but you were better for this role where we are going to then sort of want to move that person on up.
Nice, nice. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, it sounds like you did a great job in the interview.
Thank you.
Now, you mentioned about how, Course Careers, the content there and the process really helped you be a little bit more confident in it. So, with how your experience went, and when you compare the investment that you made in course careers compared to, the return on your investment with, the salary you receive, would you recommend that other people look into course careers?
Absolutely. I think that, and this is something that I made very clear to those that as I was going through the accounting course and I was telling people about what I was doing and where I was learning it, that although I was able to pick up the curriculum, although I was able to understand those concepts very well, in my opinion, that there was never a point where even if I didn't, I felt like I was sort of on an island. Or when I see people, even in the Discord saying, well, this just isn't making sense to me, or I'm feeling kind of shaky about the course. For me, knowing that we had our coaches there that were there to, give us that assistance on anything that just isn't making sense. I mean, accounting is, while you do a very good job in simplifying certain aspects of it, it is a little tricky to get into. I mean, there are certain things with accounting that are certainly more difficult to grasp than other aspects. And so I think just knowing that there was that assistance there should I have needed it was so comforting in going through the course and knowing that there was never going to be a point that I was just completely by myself. There was the Discord to be able to reach out to you and all of our fellow, trainers and coaches, and as well as all the other students that may be able to offer some insight as well. And so going through it, I was always confident and always felt like, if something were to come up and I just feel like I've hit a brick wall, I'm going to be able to move past it because the support is there for me to get that help and move on.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Alexander, I will say again, congratulations. I think you are on a path that I think that is a great career path considering, as I mentioned in like the free course, like the trajectory for people who are in the field of accounting will just continue to grow because as you mentioned, next 5 to 10 years, I mean, a large chunk of the accounting force is going to be retiring. I've seen some studies that show about 1/3 is roughly some of the numbers I've seen of, so like 1 out of 3 accountants will be retiring over the next like, 5 to 10 years plus to where that just means the people who are in the field, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you. So
Absolutely.
I'm very happy for you. And hey, thanks for your time for the interview.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. And for all of you that are watching, if you want to learn more about the course careers courses, whether it's the accounting course or even some of the other courses like tech sales, HR, click on the link in the comments below and you can learn a lot more. Thanks for tuning in.